All right, well, let's take a look at the rest of these cartoons.
All right, let's pop back over here.
You know, before you start, I have to say, visually, this was my second favorite cartoon of the bunch, just because I just love what you did there. But you can talk about it.
Yeah, this one was a last minute idea. Well, I knew I was trying to comment on this issue, and I love visual solutions, and it did not have this look. My initial sketch just had on the left, well, first off, this was people probably remember, it surfaced that Trump was trying to purchase Greenland, and they of course thought it was a joke at first and rebuffed him. The people of the officials in Denmark and Greenland. But I was drawing the concept, but I had his on the right, he was fully in a suit, and I just wasn't fully happy with it. I had not for sale, and I think I had some version of vacant or for rent on his head. And then when I was finishing the final version and sketching it out, I looked at the map of Greenland, and I thought, wait, this could translate over. And so I redrew his face and kind of had that kind of mirror image concept. And then at the last minute, I threw in a little fly, kind of going through his head. So this one just really developed from the pressures of deadline, and I think which made it better. But it was, again, the image, I was happy with the look. I captured sort of that vacant stare, I guess I call it.
Yeah. No, it's great. It's great.
Next cartoon in the portfolio has Boris Johnson reference to Dr. Strangelove, just riding the bomb like a cowboy, and which is Brexit. So again, more of a strong image, and it's funny. I've seen cartoonists, sort of parody this old film, this Dr. Strangelove scene, and this was the first time. I wanted to kind of incorporate this into a cartoon. It just seemed, the timing seemed right when I was looking for some way to express the fact that this Brexit sort of suicide mission he was on, it just was going to economically annihilate a lot of the the trade relationships they had, and it just seemed sort of crazy from my point of view. He was kind of, in my mind, like the British version of Trump. So it was fun to draw and kind of switch it up to more of a monochromatic look. I think this one came out great. It was fun one to put together.
Yeah, when we talked earlier, I was asking you about your color work, and this might be a good one to talk about it on. And somebody might have wanted to ask this question anyway, but so you do your inked original. That's on paper, right?
The ink. The process I work with, I sketch in just on computer paper, and usually my sketches I try to keep loose, and the goal is to capture the looseness of like a sketch, and so then I light box it onto actually it looks like the white space around here is kind of similar to the Bristol board I use, gives it a little bit of a border, and use microns, and I have two different size microns that I'll do the finished ink work in. And I'll scan it two different ways. I'll scan it as a bitmap file. Because the Buffalo News, we print the cartoons in black and white. We have printed a few in color, but generally they're 100% black and white. So I'll scan it with bitmap, so the lines are heavier, and so it kind of has more weight in the paper. And then the second scan I'll do as like a RGB photo, so it'll capture the color in the lines, and they won't be 100% black. And because my goal is to create a color work that creates the illusion that it's all hand done. So I transfer those color lines that aren't quite as dark into Corel Painter, and I'll use my tablet, and I'll layer, sometimes between like 5 to 11 layers of color, and they'll gel into the lines too. So the goal is to make it not as muddy, because sometimes it can get error on the side of muddy, but it's kind of a process I tweak a lot.
No, it looks to me like watercolor, but I think that's just because you're using Painter, Corel Painter, right?
Yeah, Painter's great. I think Nick Anderson uses Painter like years back. I talked to him about it, and what's cool is you create your own. create my own paper texture. So I have like Zyglis watercolor paper texture, and you control the grain to it. And then I have like several different brushes that you customize, that you can control the bleeding. And so, yeah, so you make it totally your own look. It's an awesome program.
That's great. Next.
I like to keep on a theme. So we have another British cartoon, the special relationship. What I liked about this cartoon was, you mentioned the white space in the Ukraine cartoon. I'm doing more of this. Like my work years past, I felt more pressure to just put backgrounds in all the time. And sometimes the background is a part of the story. And so I do that and put a lot of time into it. But I love when they're like kind of just white backgrounds. It has this pop to it. And especially when I have the color of baby Trump here. And so if you remember his royal visit, he was kind of, sort of breaking protocol, embarrassing, sort of the Queen a little bit, and, America itself. And there were protests when he visited of this balloon, sort of satirizing him and protesting Trump. So the timing of this with the royal baby, I just thought this was, perfect. And of course I draw from life a lot. So I'm sure it was also me picturing holding my daughter.
No, that's great. You were not kind to the Queen there, but I think your Harry, Prince Harry, is pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks. Yeah, he's tough. Yeah, the Queen. I'm looking at it again now. Yeah, I probably could have been a little better on the Queen. Oh, poor Queen.
Well, she is holding Trump, so she's probably that look on her face.
It ages her.
It ages her. Yeah.
So the last few here are also on the same topic. Here I have it says the Kurds on his helmet, and I fought with Americans for years, and all I got was a hole in this lousy T-shirt. And you have Trump backstabbing Kurds. And this is I titled this cartoon "The Pullout," and at one point I had, I don't know if this is true for you, Rob, but for me, a lot of times I'll go through different versions of my concept or finished, layout before I, settle on one. Like in this, I didn't have the border, and I had the pullout as a caption. And I tend to try to take everything, peel it back and edit down. And I think I needed it, but it was, about referencing Trump pulling out of Syria and just kind of really abandoning the Kurds. And I just wanted to capture the feeling, because it was like, backstabbing like allies we've had for years that are going to be killed. So it was a graphic cartoon. I did get a little bit of pushback from my editors about, the image, but I think if it was printed in color, they would have cared more. In black and white, didn't come across quite so gruesome.
Yeah.
Well, I want it to be strong though.